Leo soul, let's be honest. If there were one sentence powerful enough to shift your entire financial reality, would you dare to listen? Would you dare to believe it? This message isn't random. It's a divine appointment. You're not here because of an algorithm. You're here because your spirit answered the call. You will be rich. Listen just once and everything begins to shift. This isn't wishful thinking. It's a cosmic awakening aligned with your soul contract and the frequency of divine provision. This isn't about manifesting for the sake of more. It's about remembering who you are and what was written into your destiny before you were even born. Welcome to eternal mindfulness. Here, we don't beg the universe. We align with it. And Leo, there is something powerful I need you to know. You weren't created to chase money. You were born under the sun, the celestial source of radiance, leadership, and divine magnetism. That means wealth doesn't respond to how hard you hustle. It responds to how fully you own your light. Right now, as you're listening, a part of you already knows, money is seeking you. Opportunity is orbiting you. And today might just be the moment you finally let it in. This isn't another feel-good message. It's a spiritual ignition. It's the kind of truth that doesn't just touch your ears, it penetrates your soul, rewiring decades of scarcity in one breath of clarity. You don't need to repeat affirmations 100 times. You only need one aligned moment of belief. And Leo, this is that moment. Let me ask you something. How many times have you dimmed your brilliance to make others comfortable? How often have you hesitated to own your desire for abundance because you feared being seen as selfish? It ends here. You're not selfish for wanting more. You're sacred. And prosperity is your native tongue. Right now, the universe is not asking you to earn your blessings. It's inviting you to receive them. But first you must open the door with your own voice. Comment below and affirm it now. I am Leo. I was born to be rich. Wealth is already finding me. This simple act is not just a comment, it's a declaration. It's an energetic permission slip to allow everything you've been praying for to finally reach you. And if your heart feels it, if your spirit resonates, then stay with me until the very last moment of this video. Because what the universe is revealing to you today is nothing short of life-altering. Not just financially but spiritually, emotionally, even generationally. Let me take a moment to say thank you. Thank you for being here, for choosing yourself, and for bringing your energy to this sacred space. Every like, every comment, every subscription is more than support, it's spiritual currency. It allows this channel, this mission, this movement, to continue reaching those who are ready to break free from the limitations of their past and step into the full power of who they are. And trust me, you're going to want to stay with me until the very end. Because what's coming next isn't just a reading. It's a revelation. When we speak of just listening once, we are not referring to the ears alone. We are speaking to something deeper, the energy centers within you, the part of you that's always been tuned into a higher frequency but may have forgotten how to listen. In the world of energy, one true moment of resonance can ripple across timelines, rearrange your future, and awaken dormant paths that were waiting for your permission to open. This is not magic. It's alignment. The universe doesn't need you to repeat your desires 100 times. It only needs you to mean it once fully, consciously, without hesitation. And when that happens, the current of wealth begins to move. It begins to find you, not because you begged for it, but because you finally stopped blocking it. For Leo, this truth is particularly profound. Ruled by the sun, your energy is not one that requires repetition to be felt. The sun rises once a day, yet everything responds. Oceans shift. Flowers bloom. Time recalibrates. The sun doesn't beg the world to revolve around it. It simply rises. And the world adjusts. That is your nature. You are not here to convince life to bless you. You are here to remember that your presence is the blessing. One single moment of belief from you, Leo, when you decide to fully accept that abundance belongs to you, has more power than years of struggle. This is not just metaphorical. Astrologically, when you align with your solar essence, your truth, your purpose, your radiance, you activate the flow of Jupiter-like expansion without needing to physically chase it. Because energetically, you've already become a match to it. That is why we say, listen once, and the current begins. Not because the words are magical, but because your belief becomes magnetic. Think about the moments in your life when a single sentence pierced you, when someone looked you in the eye and said something that cracked your heart open or gave you a glimpse of who you really are. Perhaps it wasn't long, wasn't dramatic. Just a sentence. But it stayed. It shifted something. It created a before and an after. That's how energy works. It's not about length. It's about resonance. It's about timing. And today, this message is reaching you because your soul is in position to hear it differently than ever before. When Jesus said, according to your faith, let it be done to you, he wasn't speaking in code. He was revealing a universal law. Things unfold not according to what you wish, but according to what you believe. Not halfway, not doubtfully, but fully. And it only takes one full moment of that kind of belief to open the floodgates. Faith is the key. And you, Leo, are standing at the door. This is what makes this part of your journey so sacred. Not because you're being handed something, but because you're finally recognizing what's always been yours. There is nothing else you need to do. No proving. No efforting. No striving. Just one moment where you allow yourself to receive what's already circling your orbit. Wealth, opportunity, joy, they've all been waiting on you. Not for you to become someone else, but for you to return to your original vibration, worthy, radiant, complete. So if you feel that something in you stirred as you heard this, even slightly, don't ignore it. That stir is not coincidence. It's confirmation. Your timeline has started to shift. Your energy has started to open. And from this point forward, what you allow yourself to believe will determine the speed at which everything arrives. Comment below if you've ever felt a single phrase change your whole perception. Let's make this moment the one where that happens for someone else, too. Your story or shift might be the spark that unlocks theirs. You, Leo, were not born to fit in quietly. You were born under the rulership of the sun, the center of our solar system, not to orbit around others, but to radiate from your own core. This part of your journey is about remembering that truth, not intellectually, but energetically. When you remember who you are, not just the roles you play or the expectations others have projected onto you, but the actual energetic design of your soul, you begin to emit a frequency that shifts everything around you. That's not metaphor. It's vibrational law. In astrology, Leo governs the fifth house, the house of identity, creativity, personal joy, and self-expression. The moment you reclaim those pieces of yourself that you tucked away to be more acceptable, more humble, more agreeable, you begin to realign with your original energetic blueprint. You were never meant to hide in the shadows. You were always meant to shine. And your wealth, true, sustaining, soul-aligned wealth, is not something you have to chase down. It is already encoded in your essence. It's just been waiting for you to remember. This is not about ego. It's about essence. There's a difference between the performative self and the radiant self. The performative self seeks approval, applause, attention. The radiant self simply isned from that authentic being, everything flows. When you return to that centered self, your solar core, you become magnetic again. You don't have to convince the universe to bless you. The universe already did. All it needed was your permission to release what was stored up for you. And yes, there have likely been times when you doubted yourself. When you felt burned out, overlooked, silenced, or stuck in roles that felt too small for your spirit. But just like the sun doesn't disappear when clouds roll in, your light was never lost, it was simply covered, waiting for your timing to return. The moment you decide to stop waiting for the world to confirm your worth, and instead choose to walk in it unapologetically, the atmosphere around you begins to respond. In numerology, the vibration of this moment aligns beautifully with the numbers 1, 10, and 888. The number 1 is the energy of bold beginnings, leadership, and self-initiation. The number 10 is the full circle, the completion of one cycle and the courageous beginning of another. And 888 is the frequency of endless flow, divine financial alignment, and generational abundance. These numbers aren't just random codes, they are reflections of your current spiritual state. They are mirrors of who you are becoming. And here's where the law of attraction becomes more than a quote and more than a trend. It becomes your lived experience. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are willing to embody. And you, Leo, were created to embody boldness, authenticity, generosity, and divine confidence. The more you live in that vibration, not from effort, but from alignment, the faster life begins to rise to meet you. So let this part of the journey remind you, your worth does not increase based on how hard you work or how much you sacrifice. Your worth is your starting point. And wealth is not a reward. It's an echo. An echo of how deeply you've allowed yourself to believe in your light again. The most profound shifts don't come from what we achieve, they come from what we remember. This is a sacred moment. Let it be the one where you stop proving and start allowing. Not because you're doing something new, but because you're finally being fully you. Comment below if you feel something stirring in you as you hear this. Let it be a marker in time, a declaration: I am Leo. I am ready to rise again. Not someday, today. What makes this part of the journey so significant is not the idea of becoming wealthy, but the deeper truth of remembering that you already hold the vibration of wealth within you. This isn't about ego or pride, nor is it about materialism or accumulation. It's about alignment, about coming back into resonance with the energy of abundance that has always been embedded in your solar design. As a Leo, you were born under the rulership of the sun, the celestial body that gives without expectation, that shines regardless of applause, that nourishes without fear of depletion. And in that same way, your presence in this world was never meant to shrink to fit into spaces too small for your spirit. It was meant to shine, to radiate, to call forward everything that is already yours by divine design. Many people think that wealth is something earned through struggle or effort. But from an energetic perspective, wealth is not a reward. It is a mirror. It reflects how much light we've allowed ourselves to embody, how much space we've given ourselves to take up in the world. When you begin to live as though you are enough, as though your voice, your gifts, your presence has inherent value, then energy begins to move in your direction. Not because you demanded it, but because you remembered it. This is the power of resonance. Like attracts like. Light attracts light. Wholeness attracts provision. And the more you embody the truth of who you are, the more resources, people, ideas, money, opportunities are magnetized to your field. There's a story I often think about when guiding someone through this kind of awakening. It's the image of a person standing in a dark room, surrounded by doors that lead to everything they've prayed for, hoped for, or worked toward. But none of those doors respond to knocking. They only respond to light. The moment that person stops waiting, stops asking, and begins to glow from within, those doors open automatically. That glow doesn't come from arrogance. It comes from authenticity. It comes from the quiet, grounded decision to be fully present, fully expressed, and fully trusting that what is meant for you is already on its way. In a practical sense, this means no longer hiding behind productivity or perfectionism to prove your worth. It means shifting from trying to get life to notice you, to living like life already knows your name. The moment you step into that inner confidence, the atmosphere around you begins to shift. People treat you differently. Money begins to circulate. Opportunities seem to appear. But they were never truly absent. They were waiting for you to open the door by simply being real, being bold, and being still. Think of how a single sunflower knows to follow the sun. It doesn't question its direction. It doesn't hesitate to turn its face toward warmth and life. In the same way, you are designed to follow your light, turn toward what enlivens you and let go of anything that dims your shine. The more you do that, the more naturally you align with the flow of abundance. And yes, sometimes that means unlearning the idea that you have to strive or suffer for what is yours. Sometimes that means releasing inherited beliefs that told you to stay quiet, small, or practical. Sometimes that means reminding yourself, over and over, that the universe responds to vibration, not volume. So if something in you is stirring right now, an emotion, a memory, a vision, then push it away. Let it speak. Let it rise. Because you might just be on the edge of remembering a version of yourself who never questioned whether they were worthy of wealth, but simply lived in it freely, fully, faithfully. There are moments in life when words don't just land in your ears, they break through something ancient and hidden inside you, like sunlight piercing a forest that hasn't seen light in years. This part of your journey, Leo, is one of those moments. When a phrase, spoken at the right time, from the right frequency, doesn't need to be explained or rationalized, that it simply enters the deepest layer of your being and unlocks. Not because it was louder, not because it was new, but because your soul was finally ready to hear it. This is what we call a divine gateway in the language of energy. A portal of alignment, not in the heavens, but inside you. Imagine for a moment that your life is filled with invisible locks, each one connected to a different chapter of your destiny: abundance, health, relationships, purpose. Most of them remain untouched because we're too distracted or afraid to find the key. But every now and then, you hear something at exactly the right moment, and it clicks. Not because the key is complicated, but because the timing is sacred. That's the nature of spiritual resonance. It's not about understanding with the mind. It's about remembering with the soul. You may have heard certain phrases hundreds of times before. Maybe someone told you that you are worthy, that you're loved, that you deserve more. But the truth is, those words only create transformation when they meet readiness. Just like hearing, "I love you," from the wrong person can feel empty, but hearing it from the right one, at the right time, can heal years of loneliness in a single breath. Abundance responds the same way. It doesn't flood your life just because you want it. It comes when you're vibrationally open, when the words you hear land in the soil of faith, not fear. That's why this moment matters. Right now, as you sit with this message, your energetic field is more receptive than you realize. That's not because you've done everything perfectly. It's because your spirit has softened. The resistance is dissolving. You're not just listening, you're re-allowing. And that's when doors open. If you want to make this moment even more powerful, I invite you to create a tiny ritual. It doesn't need to be elaborate. Just write down, in your own words, what you desire financially. Be honest. Be bold. Then, at sunset, when the sun, your ruling light, prepares to rest, read those words aloud. Just once. No repetition. No desperation. Just stillness and belief. Then release it. Give it back to the universe, not as a demand, but as a declaration. And trust that if the words were true, they've already begun their journey back to you. To deepen this alignment, pay attention to color. Color is more than aesthetics, it's frequency. For the next 3 days, try wearing lemon yellow, gold, or ruby red. These aren't random shades. Yellow and gold mirror the sun and amplify confidence, visibility, and clarity. Ruby red connects with Venus and the fire of your own heart, calling in love, magnetism, and financial beauty. Even if no one else knows why you're doing it, your body will. Your field will. And the universe will recognize the signal. So if this message reached you today, if something in it stirred your heart, or brought tears to your eyes, or simply made you pause and ignore that, let that be the evidence that you're standing at one of those gateways. The moment is here. The words have been spoken. And all that's left is for you to receive what's already been unlocked. There comes a time in every journey when we must unlearn what the world taught us about survival and remember what our soul knows about thriving. For many, money has been painted as a ruler, a tyrant, even dictating what we can and cannot have, who we can be, and how worthy we feel. But Leo, this message invites you into a different relationship entirely, one where money is no longer your master, but your companion. Not a weight on your back, but wind at your heels. Not something you chase, but something that recognizes you by your light and walks beside you in devotion. In the healing language of energy work, we know that anything we chase automatically runs. It's not punishment, it's physics. The frequency of need sends a message of lack. But when you stand in your worth, in your fullness, in the light of your divine being, you become a vibrational match for everything that's meant to support your mission. And money is simply one of those supports. That's why this part of the journey is so important. Because it asks you to pause, to breathe, and to reimagine the role of money not as a finish line, but as a friend who walks the path with you. Money is energy, yes. But it's also emotion, belief, frequency, and timing. It's the byproduct of alignment, not the proof of effort. That means your true work is not to hustle yourself into exhaustion, but to live so fully in your truth, so deeply in your gifts, that money has no choice but to respond. And that, dear Leo, is not a fantasy. That is vibrational law. So let's redefine it together. What is money, really? It's not just a currency, it's a combination. Value, multiplied by frequency, plus your willingness to receive. That's it. It's not about being lucky. It's about being open. It's not about being chosen. It's about choosing yourself. The moment you release the idea that you must earn your worth, you give money permission to flow toward your joy, your light, your freedom. This is your spiritual authority, to choose the story you live by. To decide, from this moment forward, that money is no longer the one who says yes or no to your dreams. You are. That money doesn't determine your path, it supports it. That money doesn't complete you, it meets you, right where you've decided to rise. There's something incredibly powerful that happens when you begin to walk through life not hoping for abundance, but embodying it. You become a living reminder to others that it's possible. You become proof that peace and prosperity are not at odds. That joy is not irresponsible. That success can come through alignment, not burnout. This is not just a financial healing. It's a spiritual remembering. So if you feel something waking up in you right now, trust it. That feeling is not imagination, it's recognition. It's your inner being saying, yes. This is the truth I've been waiting to hear. Let that truth settle into your bones. Let it echo in the places where fear once lived. And if it feels true for you, leave a comment below that says, I am Leo. I have awakened my financial frequency. Not just to affirm it for yourself, but to help awaken it in someone else who needs it too. And if this message touched you, share it. Share it not because you need to, but because light longs to be multiplied. Somewhere out there is a soul still asleep to their worth. You could be the spark that brings them home. You are not here to serve money. Money is here to serve you on your sacred path, in your highest light, and as a faithful witness to the power of your truth. If you've made it this far, Leo, then I believe you already know deep down that this wasn't just another video, and this wasn't just another message. It was a reminder. A spark. A quiet but unshakable confirmation that you are ready. Not someday. Not when the circumstances are perfect. Now. Right here, in this moment, with everything you've experienced and everything still unfolding, you are enough. You don't need another sign from the universe. You are the sign. The moment you pressed play was the moment the universe whispered, this is it. This is for you. You don't need to figure everything out. You don't need a perfect plan. What you need is to release the weight of all the stories that told you had to earn what was always meant for you. You don't need to learn how to become rich, you need to unlearn everything that convinced you were not already wealthy in essence, in potential, in energy. True abundance starts inside. And the moment you embody it, everything around you responds. Leo, you are not meant to blend in. You are a torch in the dark. You were born to light the way not just for yourself, but for others who forgot how to shine. When you live in your truth, the world watches, When you own your worth, money listens. It finds you not because you demand it, but because your vibration becomes undeniable. And once that energy clicks into place, you won't need to chase opportunity again. You'll draw it in like the sun draws flowers toward its warmth. That's who you are. You don't ask for attention. You command it by simply being who you were always meant to be. So I invite you to take one small but sacred action right now. Write in the comments, I am Leo. I am the light. And I allow wealth to find me. Not just as a statement but as an activation. Declare it, and let the energy begin to move. You may be surprised how many others resonate and rise with you. You may even find that your comment becomes someone else's divine gateway. And while you're here, remember to like this video, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear this today. You are part of something bigger now, part of this growing family at Eternal Mindfulness, a space where healing meets wisdom, and energy becomes tangible transformation. Every single like, every comment, every new subscriber is a ripple of light, reaching further than you know. Thank you for trusting me to walk with you on this path. I see you. I believe in you. And I'm already celebrating the abundance that's beginning to form around you. Your story isn't waiting to be written someday, it's already unfolding now. So tell me, Leo, if you truly believe that you were already aligned with wealth, what would you do differently tomorrow? What part of your light have you been dimming that you're now ready to ignite? I can't wait to read your answers. And I can't wait to meet you again in the next video, where your next chapter begins.